Hello and welcome to Mangatory96, and today we're going to talk about Overlord. With the anime deciding to completely skip the Holy Kingdom arc in favor of ending this season on a fine note and not a cliffhanger, which on one hand is understandable considering that there isn't much source material left to cover, which would have meant ending this season in an awkward place and leaving it like that for years before a potential 5th season could be made. But on the other hand, completely skipping content is never a good thing as it screws up the flow of the story. Despite getting a movie instead covering this arc, it's still not good as by the looks of it, the movie won't come out before 2023 in Japan, which would mean that we won't be able to see this movie before late 2023 or even early 2024, which really isn't a good thing. That's why I decided if the anime won't show any love to this amazing arc, I will. With first covering the Holy Kingdom as a whole and then looking at some prominent characters from this arc in future videos. But before we start, here's the spoiler warning, as I'll be spoiling a lot of things in this video, so if you don't want to be spoiled, I would highly recommend that you go and read the light novel, as it is an enjoyable read. For everyone else, let's start with what the Holy Kingdom even is. Roble Holy Kingdom is a human nation in the New World, neighboring the Re-Estate Kingdom that used to periodically face invasion from the neighboring Abelion Hills. Following the most recent invasion, the country's government and religious institutions were secretly taken over by the Sorcerer Kingdom. The Roble Holy Kingdom, usually simply referred to as the Holy Kingdom, was founded about 200 years ago, not long after the evil deity's regime and terror had ended. It is marked haphazardly on maps of the New World. Its land is divided into north and south halves by the sea, but the halves are not completely separate. Rather, a gigantic bay, 200 kilometers long and 40 kilometers wide, made its geography look like a U turned on its side. For this reason, some refer to them as different nations, the Northern Holy Kingdom and the Southern Holy Kingdom. The Holy Kingdom national hero is said to be a Valkyrie knight wielding a sacred blade. The Holy Kingdom is neighbored by the Abelion Hills, which are inhabited by all kinds of demi-human tribes who are constantly warring with one another. In order to prevent themselves from being invaded and getting caught up in their wars, the Holy Kingdom invested a great amount of time and resources to build a wall along its border to keep the demi-humans out. This would become known as the 100,000 kilometer long Great Wall. Where, despite all those defensive measures, the Holy Kingdom still faces invasion from time to time. The greatest of those attacks came during the period known as the Long Reign, when a race known as the Thrush managed to climb over the wall and infiltrate the Holy Kingdom, while they were eventually driven out. That came at the cost of several losses to the Holy Kingdom's villages. The constant demi-human attacks caused many nobles to grow paranoid, leading to the passing of a law to conscript all the Holy Kingdom citizens. After Kalka Bezera became the Holy Kingdom's first female monarch, Southern nobles protested against her being chosen over her elder brother, Prince Gaspond, even though he had willingly given up his claim to the throne. They accused her of being in a secret relationship with the High Priestess Kelrat and Paladin Grandmaster Remidos, which he denied. In the end, the South did not escalate matters further and a full-scale confrontation was averted. As for its culture, the Holy Kingdom is a highly religious country, though not as much as the slain theocracy. Due to a larger number of paladins integrated into the Holy Kingdom society, the majority of the population shares their disdain for the undead. Demi-humans also face a lot more prejudice due to the kingdom's history. The Holy Kingdom's magic casters are also generally priestess. Like most New World nations, the Holy Kingdom appears to be mostly male-dominated society, especially in the Southern Holy Kingdom, where in recent years women started gaining more influence. While the Northern Holy Kingdom approved of women taking on leading roles in the society, many nobles from the Southern Holy Kingdom were upset about those changes. Unfortunately, those progressive changes were efficiently undone following Jaldabot's siege. Upon the advent of the Sorcerer King's cult, many of the Holy Kingdom citizens have begun assimilating the cult's teachings into their culture. This trend was fully embraced by the people of the kingdom, particularly by the citizens of the Northern Holy Kingdom. The kingdom also seems to worship the 4 great gods, as its paladins are known to frequently visit their temples. Following Jaldabot's siege, a cult was founded by the Faceless One that preaches the Sorcerer King's ideals that strength is justice, rose to prominence. Where, while popular in the war-raged north, the south remains avid believers in the four great gods. By the time that the Sorcerer Kingdom declared war on the Re-Estate Kingdom, though the cult seems to have overtaken the temple as the primary religious institution of the Holy Kingdom. As a monarchy, the Holy Kingdom has a monarch referred to as either the Holy King or Holy Queen as its head of the state. Like the land itself, the northern and southern Holy Kingdoms' government appear to be mostly isolated from one another, with the monarch being the only thing uniting them. After Jaldabot conquering most of the north, the south was able to maintain its governmental structure just fine without the monarch. As a highly religious country, the temples hold influence in government, where it is not the same as the slain theocracy, where the religion is the government. Instead, order is maintained through cooperation between the temple and the monarch. To maintain this balance, it is the government's policy not to bestow any titles on priests. Also, while churches are technically under the monarch's control, they are mostly left independent. Aside from this, the Holy Kingdom also has nobles who hold some political influence. Since the Holy Kingdom's territory was stretched around the north and south edges of a central bay, and mobilized forces would naturally be formed into two armies, the Northern Holy Kingdom Army and the Southern Holy Kingdom Army. The armies each have their own important location, which are the city of Kalnishas in the north and the city of Dibonia in the south. Due to the demi-humans that reside in the Abelian Hills being a constant threat to their nation, the Holy Kingdom built a great wall which is regularly patrolled by several units, where, due to the limited population of the country and the large scale to monitor it, the Holy Kingdom's military conscript the citizens when they reach a minimum age to join. Every citizen who is physically capable must take part in the military, regardless of gender. For instance, boys that reach the required age are allowed permission to carry weapons will be enlisted in the military by the country. After spending a certain amount of time being trained, they will be assigned to sanitary duty on the wall. If the worst were to happen, such as the wall is breached, it is even possible for the ruling monarch to mobilize the entire nation as a drastic response against the incoming invaders. The hope was that the country's own citizens would become the manpower which will protect their land in case the demi-humans cross the wall. All the Holy Kingdom's villages of a certain size have also been fortified. This gives the villagers enough fighting power to hold out for the regular army to arrive and also allows said villages to serve as military outposts. Thus, the villages of the Holy Kingdom were far better protected than those of other countries, and they could also function as military bases. Their holy church has highly trained priests and disciples who are capable of using holy magic of an average up to a third tier and some even higher than that, as well as they are capable of using summoning angels too. The Holy Kingdom's basic attack tactic was to use a two-pronged attack with angels in the air and infantry on the ground, a technique in which sunlight scriptures of the slain theocracy was known for. Due to being almost completely cut off from the other human nations by the Abelian Hills, the Holy Kingdom is a mostly isolated country, where there is still one open land route as well as sea travel causing there to still be communication with other countries, and the Holy Kingdom is willing to ask for their aid if necessary. The Holy Kingdom's citizens certainly want their nation to be part of the international stage. Unfortunately, they ultimately can't spend the manpower as they need to constantly focus on keeping the demi-humans out. The Holy Kingdom is under constant threat of being invaded and or getting caught up in one of the many wars of the demi-human tribes residing in Abelian Hills. In order to prevent this, the Holy Kingdom built the greatest defense structure in the New World, the Great Wall. The relationship between the citizens of the Holy Kingdom and the demi-humans are extremely bad. The Holy Kingdom has no desire to negotiate with them, where when an army of demi-humans tries to invade, they sometimes pretend to. This is in order to draw out their leaders and assassinate them. After the Sorcerer King took control of the region and formed his own demi-human army to combat the demi-human alliance, the relation between the Holy Kingdom and the Abelian Hills seems to have improved slightly. Despite this, where the Sorcerer King assumed there were still some lingering resentments and thus made sure to keep the demi-humans away from the citizens. Upon being informed about the massacre at the Katse Plains and the founding of the Sorcerer Kingdom, the Holy Kingdom chose to accept the nation as an independent sovereign state and allow free travel between its citizens, where, due to the temple's prejudice towards the undead being highly indoctrinated into the Holy Kingdom society. Many citizens view the Sorcerer Kingdom as a threat second only to the demi-humans and urge the government to send troops to retake the captured city of Erantel. Unfortunately, the Holy Kingdom was unable to do so as they need to focus on defending their own borders before focusing elsewhere. After Jaldabot laid siege to the Northern Holy Kingdom and the Re-Estate Kingdom turned down the Holy Kingdom's Liberation Army's request for aid, envoys traveled to the Sorcerer Kingdom to request for moment's aid. Unfortunately, the Sorcerer King refused to lend him to them and instead struck another deal. He would personally aid them in return for the rights to take control of Jaldabot's demon mates. Despite this, however, the Liberation Army higher-ups secretly planned to have him and Jaldabot to kill each other. The Sorcerer King proved to be vital in the liberation of the Northern Holy Kingdom, causing the outlook towards both him and his nation to slowly change. Even when they were deprived from his physical presence and he was assumed dead, the Liberation Army continued to profit of him in the form of CZ and Nea Barja. While the Liberation Army's higher-ups were concerned about his growing influence, his supporters had already grown too strong. After the Sorcerer King returned and liberated the Northern Holy Kingdom, the citizens saw him as a hero and began preaching his ideals that strength is justice as a religion. Due to the Sorcerer King aiding the liberation, the Holy Kingdom went on to develop very strong ties with the Sorcerer Kingdom afterwards, which was only further strengthened by the demi-human nation providing them with humanitarian aid. This in turn prompted the Holy Kingdom to approve of the Sorcerer Kingdom's declaration of war against the Re-Estate Kingdom after the latter nation attacked one of the grain transports. Since the only land route out of the Holy Kingdom leads to the kingdom and they share a sea border as well, the two nations naturally trade with each other. However, following the massacre at the Katse Plains, the opinion of several southern nobles towards the kingdom soured, believing the nation will be assimilated by the Sorcerer Kingdom sooner or later. After Jaldabot conquered most of the Northern Holy Kingdom, the Holy Kingdom Liberation Army sent an envoy to the kingdom to request for support in reclaiming the nation. Unfortunately, everyone they approached turned them down due to various reasons, but mostly because the kingdom was still recovering from the massacre at the Katse Plains. The envoys thus deemed the kingdom to be a lost cause and moved on to the Sorcerer Kingdom. Following the liberation, the Holy Kingdom still holds a grudge for not having been provided of military aid, severed all ties with the kingdom. As a result, when the kingdom sent envoys to attend the new Holy King's coronation, they were turned away without ever as much as getting to see him. Later after the kingdom attacked one of the Sorcerer Kingdom's transport, the Holy Kingdom condemned the nation. With this, I covered everything that I wanted to cover on the Holy Kingdom. And that will be all for this video. If you like this video, leave a like, leave your thoughts in the comments below, or subscribe to the channel for more manga reviews and One Piece content. And until next time, take care.